Part 178. The Era of Caliphs. Before the Prophet was even buried, the companions convened and discussed the appointment of a new leader. They were in mourning but still understood the urgency of unifying the Ummah. A few hours after the death of the Prophet, the Ansar gathered at their usual gathering place. It is important to note that the Ansar did not premeditate a meeting about the Prophet's succession. Rather, they met to discuss the Prophet, and the conversation inevitably turned to the topic of leadership. The obvious choice for the Ansar was Sa'd ibn Ubadah, the most senior leader of the Ansar after Sa'd ibn Mu'adh was martyred. As the Ansar were gathering, Abu Bakr and Umar were in the mosque. They were notified about the gathering, and Umar said,
"Let's go and discuss the matter with our brothers from the Ansar."
Abu Bakr and Umar then left with a group of the Muhajirun to discuss the matter with the Ansar. Meanwhile, the Prophet's closest family, such as Ali ibn Abi Talib, al-Abbas, and Zubair ibn al-Awwam, were taking care of the Prophet's personal matters such as washing his blessed body and organizing internal family matters. After Abu Bakr and Umar arrived and exchanged pleasantries, a member of the Ansar stood up and said,
"We are the helpers of Allah, and we are the vanguard of Islam. You, O emigrants, are a group amongst us. You came to us gradually and joined us."
In the politest manner, the Ansar expressed their reasoning as to why they should lead. The Ansar were in the thousands, while the Muhajirun were in the hundreds, and the Ansar provided the Prophet with the base he needed to thrive. Umar then narrated,
As he was speaking, I was thinking to myself, what should I say in response? When he finished, I had my response ready, and I knew it was a little harsh. But before I was able to stand up, Abu Bakr pulled me down and said, "Stay put, O Umar." I obeyed him as I was scared to make him angry. Abu Bakr then stood up, praised Allah, and gave a lecture. By Allah, he was wiser and gentler than I would have been, and there was not a single point I wanted to make except that he made it, and more. He said, "I know that the Prophet said, if the Ansar went in one direction and all of mankind went in another direction, I would go with the Ansar." He then recalled every hadith we know about praise of the Ansar. He then moved on and said, "O Sa'd, I know that you were sitting right in front of the Prophet when he said, 'It is the Quraysh who shall lead this matter of ours. The righteous amongst them shall lead the righteous of mankind, and the impious shall lead the impious of mankind.'" Sa'd responded, "You have spoken the truth. You are the leaders and we are the helpers."
Abu Bakr then held on to the hands of Umar and Abu Ubaidah and said,
"I have nominated these two. Choose whichever you like."
Another member of the Ansar then stood up and said,
"I have a solution. Why don't we have two leaders? One from you and one from us."
More people began adding their input, and voices began to raise over each other. Umar then raised his voice above everyone else's and said,
"O Abu Bakr, stretch forth your hand. We shall pledge our allegiance to you."
Umar placed his hand in Abu Bakr's hand and officially pledged his allegiance to him. The Muhajirun quickly followed suit, and the Ansar did too. Abu Bakr was thus nominated as the first caliph in Islam and successor of the Prophet. The following morning, 24 hours after the passing of the Prophet, the companions all gathered in the Prophet's mosque. Umar announced,
"O people, what I said yesterday about the Prophet not being dead was from myself. I did not find it in the Book of Allah, nor did the Prophet tell me. I thought that the Prophet would not leave us until life on earth ended, and he would be the last of us to go. But Allah has left you with his book, and in it is the Sunnah of the Prophet. So hold on to it, and you shall be guided. Allah has gathered your affairs and has chosen the companion of the Prophet, one of two, while they were both in the cave."
Umar is quoting a Surah 9, Al-Tawbah, verse 40, where Allah describes Abu Bakr as the Prophet's companion.
When he was only one of two while they were both in the cave, he reassured his companion, "Do not worry, for Allah is certainly with us."
So stand up and pledge your allegiance to him.
The companions then formed a queue and pledged their allegiance to Abu Bakr one by one. The Ummah is unified in recognizing Abu Bakr al-Siddiq as the best of the companions and the closest to the Prophet. There is a difference, however, as to whether the Prophet explicitly chose him as the leader. Some scholars state that the Prophet did not choose anyone for leadership, and that the companions themselves decided. They explain that the companions recognized Abu Bakr's status as the best, and saw it appropriate for him to therefore lead the Ummah politically. Other scholars argue that the Prophet not only identified Abu Bakr as the best companion, but also indicated that he ought to lead. They explain that the Prophet did not explicitly name his successor, as he may not have wanted to establish a precedent of kings and rulers naming their successors. Instead, he commanded that Abu Bakr lead the prayer in his stead. This is a strong indication that he approved his caliphate, as the Imam in Islam represents authority. A third minority group of scholars claim that the Prophet explicitly commanded for Abu Bakr to rule after him, but there are no authentic reports in this regard. In short, the first two opinions can be merged to state that the Prophet did not explicitly appoint his successor, but that his instruction that Abu Bakr lead the prayer in his stead serves as a strong indication that he is to be the leader. Allah, referring to Abu Bakr as the Prophet's companion, further bolsters this argument, as do the plethora of hadiths in praise of Abu Bakr's faith. After the companions all pledged their allegiance, Abu Bakr stood up and gave a short yet impactful speech.
O people, I have been put in charge of you, even though I am not the best of you. If I do good, help me, and if I do bad, correct me. Being truthful is the essence of trustworthiness, and lying is treachery. The weak amongst you is strong in my eyes, until I return his right to him. That is, the weakest are closest to me, and the strongest amongst you is the weakest in my eyes. Never does a group leave striving for the sake of Allah, except that Allah strikes them with humiliation, and never does lewdness spread, except that Allah envelops them with his punishment. Obey me as long as I obey Allah and his messenger, but if I disobey Allah and his messenger, then I have no right that you should obey me. Stand up and pray. May Allah have mercy on you.